back to the Merck Method, where we explore mental wellness, growth, and the human experience. I'm your host, as always, Eric, and I want to thank you so much for joining me in the new year 2026. Thank you so much for allowing the Merck Method to continue to grow. It's gone so well since June when I started, and we're just going to keep trucking along here. So I want to start by saying we made it to 2026, right? I felt for myself, and I don't know about anybody else, but 2025 was kind of all over the board. I felt like I was doing great, and then I felt like I got kicked in the teeth, and then I felt like I was doing okay again, and it was kind of a little bit of a up and down roller coaster ride. Now, if anybody's into astrology, as being a Gemini, apparently that was supposed to happen. But also, 2026 is supposed to look a heck of a lot better. And they talk about stuff really leveling up and really finding my true self and really thriving in business and career and relationships and everything else. So I feel 2026 is going to be amazing. And I hope it is for you too. And we're going to talk a little bit about, people shedding what I feel is things that they don't necessarily need bringing into 2026 and really trying to find not necessarily the new version of themselves, but their true version of themselves. For a lot of people, the new year can arrive, kind of smooth, right? Really smooth transition from 2025 to 2026. Nobody would notice. And sometimes it's super loud, right? Sometimes it's a breath of fresh air for other people. It's finally a chance to become the person they promised themselves they were going to be, whether it was the year before or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But it's really starting to kind of let the baggage drop and really find your true self. Like that's the idea, I think, for 2026. We're not going to carry other people's bad vibes. We're not going to carry people into our circle that don't need to be in our circle. They are not sharing the wealth as far as really just cheering you on, right? They aren't your people and it's hurting you, right? It's putting you in a spot that you don't belong in. It's someplace that you need to be, that you thrive and people thrive with you. Especially with a new year coming in, there's always a lot of messages all over the place. Because it's a new year, there's new goals, there's new routines. We're looking for a new body, a new mindset, that new you, right? That growth can be beautiful. It can also become exhausting if you're really looking for the wrong things. You're almost looking for all of the new stuff that's made for someone else. And that's not you. And that's what we've been doing. We're looking at other people's perspective when we're trying to be better at looking at our own reflection. That's who we're looking for, the person in the mirror, the one that's always with you. And now when I say this, when we're looking for that truer version of you, we're not talking about like erasing how you were up until this point, right? It carried you through last year and the years before. It just means understanding them and really sitting with them and honoring those other versions, because you can't get to this point without them. You can't take any pieces out of what happened, good, bad, or indifferent, and not get to this point. But it's up to you to allow your true self to show. And I know that can be difficult because we will feel judged. I've already started to feel like that going into this new position from other people. But it's not coming from the other people that are in that arena that I'm going to, because they know that's where I'm supposed to be. But I'm hearing backlash from people that don't necessarily want me to level up. I know those people. You can't hide. But 2026 is about you and no one else. Because the people that are supposed to be around you are going to be around you. They will. Trust the process. The truth is, the version of you that made it to this moment did the best they could with what they had, right? You were just pivoting up to this point. If you were struggling with your job or relationship or whatever, you were just kind of making it. And if you started to level up at the middle of the year or the end of the year, this is your time now. This is your time to shine. This is your time to find and show people who you really are and what you're really made of. You deserve that. It's okay if those other versions of you were inconsistent, or you stayed too long, or that you coped in ways that you weren't proud of. It's okay. We're not perfect. We're human. Survival changes us, burnout changes us, grief changes us. And sometimes growth doesn't look like becoming more disciplined or more motivated. Sometimes it looks like finally admitting you're tired and changing the dynamic. Sometimes it looks like you saying, I can't keep doing this the same way anymore. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for you to pretend like you're somebody else. That's not what you're supposed to do. And it's okay to change. Remember that. It's okay. People are going to get mad at you for changing anything. So what? They're really just mad that they can't change with you. And whose fault is that? That's theirs. Because you're not driving their car. You are in control of you and no one else. The nice thing to do is to cheer them on either way. But it's on them. It's a new year. Hopefully they find their true self because they deserve it as well. They really do. But that's not us to change. And it's not them to change us. We don't talk enough about the emotional hangover that comes with the end of the year. So if the end of the year was kind of rough for you, it's going to trickle into the beginning of this year. The relationships that might have shifted for you, the plans that might have not unfolded the way you wanted. Maybe you were looking to get a position previously before the end of the year and it didn't come up. Well, then maybe that position wasn't ready for you yet. Maybe you weren't ready for that yet. Don't give up. Maybe that's just not right for you right now. That version of you that hoped things would be different by now. I know you're sitting there going, I should be in a different place. Well, maybe that's true, but maybe you're not ready to go where you think you're supposed to be. We don't need to label last year as good or bad, right? It's fine. It's not that simple anyway. You probably had good moments, right? And also moments that were exhausting. I'm sure you had probably moments of hope as well as disappointment. You probably had some strength moments, but self doubt as well, right? It's a mixed bag. None of this makes you weak, remember, okay? It just makes you human, like I said. And if you're carrying regret into this new year, ask yourself, what are you protecting? Most of our choices, we are judging ourselves, were actually attempts to stay safe and afloat. That new you really implies that the old you is disposable, that they should be left behind and replaced. But the old you isn't an enemy. They're the reason you're actually here. That's why I said we need that version of yourself to get to this point. They learned all the hard lessons, whether it was in work, relationships, life in general. They adapted. They got through it. So we can't just abandon them. What if this year you thank them? What if you said, I see you, I know why you did what you did, and I've got it from here. Your true you is going to take over. Now, with that being said, the year doesn't actually have to be louder and fireworks all over the place. It doesn't have to be busier. It doesn't have to be filled with constant self improvement projects. What if it's quieter? What if it's more honest with yourself or more aligned? What if your goal isn't to become more impressive, but just have more peace? Man, that sounds good, doesn't it? Not for your shoulders to feel so heavy and your heart to be so weighted. So many people enter the year with a list of their things they want to fix, right? So one of the things that I always keep saying in the beginning of the new year, and it kind of fizzles out, and I'm gonna be better at this, I hope. I'll keep my fingers crossed, is going to the gym. And I know there's always those memes where the gym is full in like January and February, and then it's empty after that. But I'm gonna try to break that because I really do need to. I felt better when I went to the gym, let's be honest. But a lot of people, that's on their list, right? You know, working on their productivity, their emotions, boundaries, they talk about it all the time. And while reflection of all those is healthy, living in a constant state of self correction is not. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a person to be understood, and understanding yourself requires patience, not punishment, to just load yourself up with this list. You got to give yourself some grace. If you've been burned out before, this year may need to look a little different. I was burned out a lot in 2025. I am not allowing myself to get like that again. And I will pivot if it happens. You may need to rest a lot more than hustle. Give more space than structure, more listening than forcing things. But remember, burnout doesn't mean you're lazy. It means you've been strong for too long without enough support. You got to support yourself too. And healing from that isn't about pushing harder, it's about learning when to stop. You might notice that you don't have the same energy you once did. I don't. I'm trying to figure that out. Do I need a bunch of Red Bulls for this? Because, I'm not as energetic. And I think part of that is because of having so many things going on, right? With school and work and, the podcast and finishing the book, so many other things and life. It takes a toll on you. This is where you got to figure out your boundaries because New Year's often highlight where we've been overextended and overly exhausted. We've poured our heart and soul into things while really neglecting ourselves. That's talking about where we've said yes to people and things, and that's out of guilt or fear. Growth this year might look like disappointing others. I think I've done a few of that in the last couple of months so that you can stop disappointing yourself. I think that's what's happening right now for me. And it could be for you too. But that's okay. And it's not selfish, it's healthy. We're thinking about you. We have to think about ourselves. This is the year of us. This is the year of you. Those boundaries are not walls, they're doors with locks. They let the right things in and keep what harms you out. We have to start doing stuff for ourselves. For some of us, this new year, this new quote unquote me, just really means to just be gentler, gentler with your expectations, gentler with your inner dialogue to yourself, listening to yourself. Remember, I said it in multiple episodes. You are your biggest listener. Imagine starting this year committed not to self improvement, but for some self respect. Committed to speaking to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love deeply. That alone can change everything. You are your biggest fan. You got to tell yourself that. Continuously pump yourself up. I can do this. This is going to be a great year. And for those people that are going into the new year unsure, thinking to yourself, I don't even know what I want this year. And that's okay too. You don't have to have all the answers. That clarity often comes after permission to explore, to try new things, to change your mind. You don't need a perfectly articulated vision for your life to take the next step. Curiosity is enough. You're willing to try new things is enough. Remember, this year isn't about becoming a brand new person. It's just about shedding layers that were never truly yours. That's the biggest key out of this whole thing. We're carrying stuff that's not ours. Survival habits, expectations, people pleasing, fear based choices. Stop it. What's left underneath is what you are and already will be: whole, already worthy, already enough. I want to see that person in 2026. I want to hear about that person in 2026. So, as we move forward in this year, I want to invite you to redefine what that new means to you. Is it new boundaries, new honesty, new patience, new courage to show up as you are, the true you, new compassion for the parts of you that are still healing? You don't need to rush your becoming. You are allowed to evolve slowly at your own pace, not anybody else's. If you're entering this year hopeful but scared, that's okay. Or motivated but exhausted, inspired but unsure. There's something that you want to go after, but you're just unsure. You're not alone. There's a lot of us like that. I've been like that. It's not going to stop, but let this be the year you stop fighting yourself and really start listening to your gut, to your heart, to what you want. The year you choose alignment over approval. This will be the year that you honor progress and not perfection. All right. I hope you're a little pumped up for the new year. I hope you have an idea of what your true self really is. And I want to see it. I want you to remember that you don't have to arrive as the best version of yourself. You just have to arrive as yourself. Bring your hope, bring your fear, your strength, your uncertainty. Bring the parts of you that feel confident and the parts that might not be. This year isn't asking you to be perfect. No one's asking you to be perfect. We're just asking you to be present, that true version of you. Let's see it. Every small step you take, every moment you choose honesty over hiding, every time you give yourself that grace instead of criticizing yourself, you're moving forward. Might not feel like it. If you fall on your idea, fall forward. You're still progressing. Walk into this year with your head up and your heart open. Trust the growth is happening in the ways you can't always measure. Feel the movement. Trust that you are capable of handling what comes, even when you don't have the full picture yet. That's fine. Be in the present, be in the now. Let this be the year you believe in your own resilience, the year you stop waiting to feel ready and start showing up anyway. You're never going to be fully ready. Take that leap. Let's do this now in 2026. Let's start a fresh year. We're not reinventing yourself to deserve a new beginning. You already are the beginning. And that has always been more than enough. All right, I think that was a good one for today. I'm pretty pumped up for this. Very excited. I'm excited for my new beginnings. I'm excited for my family's beginnings of the year. I'm excited for your beginnings of the year. I want to hear about it. I want to, understand that you're coming into 2026 as you. We want to see you because remember, you're enough and you always have been. All right, Merc Nation, as I leave you always, I leave you with this: stay grounded, stay kind to yourself, and remember, strength begins with honesty. Till next time.